Welcome to ViviTalks. I'm Vivienne Aerts. Join me in celebrating 100 talented female musicians from my last album, Typuhthâng, empowering female cacao farmers in Congo's Virunga State Park and restoring the rainforest. Delve into the musical journeys, creative processes, and unique perspectives of these talented women that were involved in the making of this album. Today I'm talking to Ella Joy Meir. Ella Joy Meir is a musician of all trades based in New York. She works in a range of roles, from sound design and composition to performing as a singer and a keyboard player. For the past couple of years, she's been working as a contributing composer for the Facebook Sound Collection, recording and producing over 100 tracks in a range of styles, from folk to EDM, to lo-fi bedroom rock, to cinematic. Ella Joy's work radiates excellence. Her work for Facebook has been used in a number of viral videos, with hundreds of millions of views. As a lead singer, band leader, and songwriter for Iris Lune, Ella Joy has released 3 EPs, a number of breathtaking videos, and a full-length LP. Billboard has called Iris Lune's music a microcosm of swirling, authentic stories, with a tinge of electropop to tie everything together. These days, Ella Joy is writing new music and collaborating with artists across the world on new projects. Listen to a conversation as we discuss the Meta Sound Collection, creative balance, Artlinks, and her musical household. Welcome, Ella, to my official podcast. It's such a pleasure to have you here and to know you. I mean, we go back a ways.
Yeah,
A couple years. I think we met at Berkeley.
I think so.
I was there in 2012 to 2014.
Yeah,
Um,
it's about right.
and you know how Berkeley is, we just run around like crazy.
I know, but somehow all the international people tend to kind of
Yes.
attach to each other.
Yeah. So, yeah, for my audience, I'd love to have you introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit more about your background, where you're from, what do you do, what keeps you busy?
So I was born in Israel, and I moved to the States in 2011 to study at Berklee College of Music, with my then girlfriend, and then we got married in Boston,
Mhm.
and then moved to New York in 2015, and I just recently moved to New Jersey, which I thought I would really miss New York, but I don't as much. I love it in New Jersey. I feel like it's underrated. But anyway, I'm a singer-songwriter, composer, producer, and I have 2 young kids. So it's definitely a challenge to sort of figure out how to do I mean, everything basically with 2 kids. Um,
Yeah.
Challenging but very rewarding. But yeah, so these days I produce music under my moniker Iris Lune. It used to be a band, but now it's just me. I have like 3 EPs, I think, and 2 LPs. I'm sort of in the process of releasing this current LP.
Mhm.
And I write music for companies, create content for different brands and stuff like that. So I try to keep it interesting. It's not easy being a freelance musician, as you know, but I think if I manage to like have enough interesting projects, it's really fulfilling.
Mm, that's
Yeah,
awesome. So, yeah, I love to hear a little bit more about your creative process and your approach to writing music. How do you
sure.
start?
Um, so it changed over the years. I really learned how to not doubt myself so much. Like I used to be
Mm.
a very perfectionist, but then I started working for Facebook, which that's like my main gig actually. I guess now it's called Meta, is writing music for their Meta Sound Collection. I've been doing that for 7 years, writing music from like pop, folk, EDM, classical. And that job really taught me to not question myself because at the end of the day, like, every month they have to release a certain amount of songs and they have to get approval, but like I have to finish it, I have to deliver it. So, whether like a kick is a little too loud in my ears, or a synth is not 100%, like that ultimately doesn't matter. What matters is the song and the vibe, I think, first of all. And so it translated into my own creativity and my own music. And now when I write, I try to, like, it starts from either a loop, something I create, or a little melody. It starts from like a seed, and then I sort of create for a couple, like an hour or two, how much time I have. And I try not to question myself during that time, and like not analyze, just do whatever feels good. And the good ideas stick. The mediocre ones kind of slip away. That's like the initial inspiration. I think the hard work is afterwards, to come back to it and kind of chisel through and figure out what it needs, what it doesn't need. But yeah, and I think what I've learned is to, like, what to do when I'm not inspired. So I often listen to a lot of music, even music that I don't necessarily love, but I can find interesting things in it. And to look at other art, like whether it's visual, like dance or paintings, that really helps kind of spark my creativity as well.
And then you produce it with the piano and your voice, and like you play all the instruments, or how does that work?
So
And
a
then
lot of it is like in the box.
okay.
I mean, I play piano, guitar, and sing, a little bit of ukulele. And everything else is like software instruments. So it used to start from piano and voice, like back when I was in my 20s, but now it can be anything, any type of sound. I love making synths out of like found sounds. So like for this recent album, Home is Where, by my moniker Iris Lune, I created a lot of instruments from sound. So like I created a pad from a rooster call. Now I'm actually working on a project that involves whales. It's with a friend of mine who actually collaborated with me on Home is Where, and she's an amazing installation artist and does a lot of crazy things that I have no idea how she does them. And she recorded these sperm whales a while back, and I'm creating a soundscape using those whale recordings. So like manipulate those sounds into different like musical elements, I guess. So I find that really inspiring.
That sounds so cool. So you basically built a synthesizer from these samples.
Synthesize, yeah,
Or
or like pads or like drum grooves, anything. It could be anything, really.
awesome. I love
Yeah.
to hear a little bit about your latest album. I went to the premiere in the cinema because it was actually a collaboration with like video producers and other
Mhm.
people in other type of fields. Tell me all about it.
Yeah. So I got this grant from the RJE Foundation to create this visual album, and the whole idea was to explore, what does home mean. And I think when I originally thought about this idea in a much smaller capacity, it was during the pandemic when, home meant a lot of different things. People were stuck at home, people didn't have a home. And I wanted to explore this with other people. This was already when my band broke up, so it was just me, and I really wanted to collaborate with other people. And I thought it would be really interesting to collaborate with dancers and visual artists. So I found 9 different artists that I really, really loved their work, and I felt like they had an interesting perspective on life. And each collaboration started with a Zoom conversation, just like we're doing now, about home and about their art, and sort of trying to find a common ground between me and them. And then I took that conversation along with a questionnaire I sent them. I took all that info and wrote and produced a song that was inspired by that, by their story. And then I sent that song to them, and they created their sort of like interpretation of my song. So it all ended up being videos, each one very different. Some were dances, some were like animation, some were um, more like regular videos, like cinematography. Um, and I ended up premiering it, as you said, in New York in a cinema, which was really, really special. And it was a month before I gave birth, I think. So it was very big. Um, but yeah, that's the concept. And I mean, it was so amazing. I also ask each one to record about 20 or 30 samples of things that remind them of home. So some sent me like waves of the ocean next to their house, or a rooster call, or a laundry machine. And I took some of those sounds and manipulated them and created them into instruments and sort of put them in the songs. So there's a lot of that as well. And thanks for coming.
Yeah, I thought that was so inspirational. It was not the first time I saw you doing a collaborative project. Can you tell me a little bit, or I mean, I know it, but talk a little bit about the Artlinks project you did
Oh,
in the
Artlinks, right.
past. Yeah.
Yeah, that was sort of inspired by that. So back when I was living in Brooklyn, I started an art collective with my wife, Michal, and another friend, Tiffany Wilson. And we really wanted to create a hub for creative types around Brooklyn. So we did a lot of like house shows and different collaborative projects, and one of them was Artlinks. And the idea was um, we started a we started with a prompt that we chose. So one time it was a poem, one time it was a painting, and we had people like um, join us. We usually try to keep it around 20 people, and we connected. We like separated people into pairs or groups of three, depending on how many people we had. We tried to have it so that people would work with new people, like people they haven't worked with at all, and from different mediums. So we had animators, painters, dancers, singers. Um, do you remember who you collaborated with? I think it was like a computer engineer or something like that. It was like
Yeah,
very,
coding.
yeah, coding, yeah. So we tried to, whoever was interested, basically. And then we gave the first pair a prompt, and they had 10 days to create a piece of art inspired by the prompt. And then we sent their creation to the next pair, and sort of it creates this like chain of art. And then we had an exhibition at the end. So we did 4 of those, I believe. And that was really, really special.
Yeah, it was so fun because it was really like the full spectrum of what art
Yeah.
could be. Because you didn't know where it would go. So yeah, with the prompt, and then if somebody creates something and you work together with people that you don't know, but you
Mhm.
only have 10 days, so there was a lot of pressure.
Yeah. But it also like doesn't have to be perfect. Like it can also be a beginning of something. And there were people from all over the world. Like most of them lived in Brooklyn, but some were from abroad. And everyone came from a different place. And also in my project Home is Where, I worked with people from everywhere. So like I had someone from South Korea who lived in Berlin. I had someone from Uganda, someone from Mexico.
Mhm.
I really enjoy that. And I think at Berkeley, when I went, and maybe for you is as well, one of the things I love the most is just meeting people from everywhere.
Yeah, I
Something
totally
so
agree.
special about that.
Yeah, the world would be so boring if we're all the same,
Oh my God,
right?
yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
Can you share a significant moment when your music had a profit? You've been producing, but also performing. Can you share a moment where your music had some sort of an impact on somebody's life?
Hmm. Um, Actually, one of the most inspiring moments I had was this was actually with a song I wrote for Facebook. Um, I wrote the song about my mother who passed away a few years ago, but I didn't want to release it just on my own because it was very different than what I like the Iris Lune stuff. It was more folky. So I decided I'll let it go and I'll release it through Facebook. And then someone wrote to me that she connected with the song so much that she played it at her father's funeral. And she was like from France, I think, and that was just so touching. And um, yeah, I think that was one of the most moving messages that I got about my music.
Wow, that's the biggest like compliment, right? That's the
Yeah,
biggest joy that somebody can give you. Like this song meant so much to me that yeah, it's
yeah.
amazing.
I also did. So my mom passed away 6 years ago, and she was a linguist who mostly researched sign language, Israeli sign language. And after she passed, I created, with the same song, I created a video that had two translators. One did ASL, American Sign Language, and another one in Israeli Sign Language. And there was Hebrew and English subtitles.
Hmm.
So I created this piece, which is like basically in four languages. And that also, I think, meant a lot to people like in the deaf community back in Israel and people who knew her. And I felt like it was a good way of honoring my mom and her legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's track a little back because you're writing for Facebook, but then don't you feel like you're giving away a little piece of yourself to like commercial or like how do you see that? Because you're like putting a lot of energy and your emotions and your soul and like
Yeah.
how do you balance that? Or yeah,
Yeah, that's a good
any
question.
thoughts?
I've been thinking a lot about that like throughout the years. I think, I mean, first of all, the Facebook and like other companies I write to, it allows me to write in genres I wouldn't feel comfortable releasing stuff in. So like there's a lot of electronic, classical, um, like hyper pop, stuff like that. So I'm okay with those. Like I wouldn't release them anyway under my own name or like under my artistic name. Um, it's the more like folksy things that are just closer to my heart that I always question. But at the end of the day, I feel like it'll reach a lot of people, and that's the main goal, I think, with this is to reach as many people as possible. So I think it's like there's something beautiful about letting go
Mm.
and stuff that I really, really feel like I want them to be mine no matter what, then I just keep.
But then people would know it's you performing or and producing and singing
Yes.
or
They would know
so
it.
your
The
name is
song is
still
by
on
me.
there. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So if you go to Spotify, almost everything I released under my name, Ella Joy Meir, is stuff that I wrote for Facebook. And
Hmm.
then Iris Lune is the more like, that's like a whole different project, if that makes
Right.
sense. So Ella Joy Meir is like there's a lot of different things there. It feels kind of confusing. But that's just like kind of my composer type.
Hat.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. And then so there's a lot of like talk now how to license your music.
Mhm.
Is it like do I see your job as like you're hired by Facebook to produce X amount of songs, or is it
Yes.
just oh, so it's like a real job instead of like please write me this and it's occasion.
Yeah, no, it's a like every month I have to write a certain amount of songs. Yeah, but I'm trying to get more into like the music library world and the sync
Right.
world. Um,
Because that works different, right?
yeah, so music libraries, it's mostly about royalties. Um,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of music libraries, like you submit tracks to them and they don't pay you a fee upfront, and then hopefully your track gets picked up by like a TV show or something like that, and then you get back end royalties. So that's kind of like a numbers game. Like the more tracks you have, the better your chances are to make royalties. And then sync licensing is, let's say like a company wants your song for a commercial, so they pay you a pretty nice upfront fee, but there are no royalties. So it's sort
Right.
of like finding the combination between the two, which is what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
with Facebook, they just pay you a monthly salary, or
It's
they
not,
they
it's like
do.
per track. Uh,
Okay, right.
yeah.
Yeah, so we have to so you have to see
But
it as
it's
like
it's with Facebook, the whole idea was that for Facebook and Instagram users to be able to download these songs for free and use it on their content for Facebook and Instagram. So anytime you go to like Instagram business reels, it's all music from the collection.
ah,
Um, and it's geared towards like content creators because
mm,
I think Facebook didn't want to deal with copyright. You know, like if you're a yoga instructor and you want to use a song by, I don't know, Beyonce or whatever, um, then you can't because of copyright issues. So they'd rather create this massive library of
mm,
something that sounds similar to Beyonce. You know, it has like that, for instance, and then you can download that for free
right.
and use it. So it's like a different animal kind of thing. I don't know if there's anything else like that.
Right. Well, my songs are I publish through CD Baby, and
Mhm.
I can just check mark the sync licensing, and then it appears on all these platforms. So people are able to choose my music and put it onto my songs. And supposedly I'd get paid for that.
Yeah.
Um,
I know with YouTube Content ID, I like actually get money from that. I don't know if you've probably
yeah.
you as well.
I
Like,
do, I do. And it
yeah,
does bounce. If I upload my own song into like YouTube, it's like, hey, this is a copyrighted song. And I'm like, no, that's me.
right.
So I just, yeah, I tell them and then it's all good. So yeah, it's yeah, it could be a little confusing uh
Yeah,
how to actually do it. Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just trying to like, I mean, I think as a freelance musician, you have to do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So it's stressful because you don't always know where the money is going to come from. But
Right.
I'm trying to figure it out. I also wrote some meditation tracks now for a really interesting project. Um, with creating like these recharge rooms in hospitals
Oh,
for doctors and nurses and stuff like that. And so I'm creating music for that. So that's
that's
like
amazing.
music is of service, I guess, which is really nice.
I last week I heard this really interesting podcast by Radio Lab, and it was
Mhm.
talking about 811 suicide prevention line because they've been struggling with their hold music
Oh,
because it was really horrific. And imagine somebody calling the helpline because they really need help and they
yeah.
really
And
don't
then
want
they're
it.
hearing
And they're
something
like
like,
snazzy jazz. Yeah, the dude said, "Oh yeah, they hear this snazzy jazz and then play it. They play it in this podcast. I
oh
mean,
my
I totally
God,
recommend checking it out."
maybe I
And
should
like, "Choo,
contact
choo,
them and
choo,
like,
choo, choo, choo. We're waiting." Yeah, there's like yeah, so they went through this whole journey in revamping the music, but obviously there needs to be a lot of research first, so
yeah,
it could take years too. But they already updated it now, so
okay, good.
it's already a lot better. And
Uh-huh.
they changed the voice into a more like yogaistic timbre person.
Okay, good. Yeah. It
So
can be
yeah,
really
they
stressful
it
sounding.
does matter, right?
Of course.
We're not even aware of it most of the time, what the vibe means. You
Hmm.
walk into a store, you walk into any space, and there's something going on, and it does matter. And we thought, oh, music, yeah, it's supposed to
Yeah,
not to be important, but it's very important.
it really
Yeah,
is.
it creates the whole. But that's a cool project.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, just trying to keep it interesting, keeping
yeah.
um
Awesome.
yeah, and I think like I said, like being a mom is it makes it challenging. But I think one of the things it made me be is more precise with my time. So like I know I only have, for instance, 4 hours to work today, so I have to
Mhm.
make the best out of those 4 hours because I know that later I'll have, you know, I'll have to and want to be with the kids.
Yes.
So that's something that I've actually heard a lot from parents, that it makes your time more valuable.
Yeah. So you're more focused in on the things that you need to do and yeah.
Exactly. Because you can't mess it up. Like,
Yeah. Well, multitasking, you're constantly multitasking, but it's hard if you do music. So because
Right.
you need a couple of hours to just dedicate work. So you have to squeeze them in effectively. I can imagine that.
Mhm.
You have to up your game in like time management skills.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And or trust that you can make that deadline, right?
Yeah. And sometimes it's
'Cause
hard because you have to like, it's like 9 a.m. You go into your studio and you're like, okay, creative mode, start. And what if you're not
right.
feeling it at the moment, or you had like a horrible night? And that
Yeah.
gets sometimes crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's part of life. I recently spoke to somebody that was refused the gig because they didn't think she would deliver on time
What?
because she was a mom. And so yeah,
Oh, that's so annoying.
there's a lot of stuff still going on that's like unfair.
Yeah. No, that's
Especially in the music business, it's a little confusing. We're all freelancers and we work so hard. I think work ethics are like, for musicians, I think we're one of the most hardworking species
hmm
around because we just create, we just
Yeah,
produce,
all the
and
time.
we wear all the different hats. Yeah. So I love to learn a little bit about because obviously you're on my album and it's with a lot of women. So I
Mhm.
want to hear a little bit about feminism, or have you
Sure.
faced any stereotypes as a female musician, or what do you deal? How do you overcome them, or just any biases that you run into?
Um, well, I think in general, um, when I step into, like, I've always felt that the fact that I'm a woman, even when I was at school at Berkeley, like I felt like I had to, it wasn't enough that I was good. I felt like I had to be incredible.
Mm,
Which is something that I feel like is not expected from men a lot of times. But if you're a woman, I feel like the expectation that either you're incredible or you're really bad. Um, I don't know if that makes sense, but I
or
felt
you're
like I had to
pretty.
be like, yeah, um, or pretty bad. I felt like you have to, like I have to be extra,
Yeah.
just like extra energy, extra, push in order to prove myself.
Hmm.
Like I studied in the electronic music department, and it was mostly guys. And yeah, I felt like I really needed to prove myself, also to my teachers. And it's not that anyone said something, but it was like a feeling that was there, when you
Mm.
go to a space and it's mostly men. And in general, as a producer, like I think there's still not enough women producers, or like not enough visible women producers.
Hmm.
So I'm always really happy when I meet folks like that, because we understand each other, we understand the struggles. So I don't think I ever had like a specific episode or anything like that, or event that I felt like I was discriminated, but I think it's more about getting into spaces that are dominated by men, which are mostly I think in the music industry and the music world,
Hmm.
and navigating that. Yeah.
How do you do it? What are, yeah.
So a lot of it is feeling like I have to prove myself, and so I like push myself, and like to push myself to be heard, even though, like, I think in general I'm a pretty shy person. So in general I don't like love talking in front of a lot of people,
Mm.
but I feel like I need to, in order to prove that even though I'm a woman, I'm actually really good, which is so stupid. But that's just kind of what I feel, without like, you know. Um, and I think connecting showing up and connecting more with people like non-binary and women and in my field, and creating alliances and lifting up other female producers, other, yeah, I think that's like a big part of it, lifting other voices.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's hard. I mean, it's hard. It's always there, and I think we've come a long way, but it's still always there.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it'll stay like that.
Can you talk a little bit about community? What does community mean for you?
So I've always been a community type person. I've like when I was in Brooklyn, then we had this artist collective. When I finished high school, I volunteered for a year with like a group of people. So we kind of lived in a commune. And I think everywhere I go, I try to find community, like people with shared experience.
Mm.
Um, and there's just something very, I think, very fundamental about being a part of a community. Like people need connections, people need to be socially connected to each other. And I think shared experiences are one of the best ways to do that. So whether it's a group of artists or a community like the queer community, which I love being a part of, or even like a community of parents, which I now find to be really helpful to my soul because I need people who understand what I'm going through. So yeah, there's just something very, very basic about, I think, the need to connect to other people. And I love also being with the people creating it. Like
Hmm.
if I don't see the community around me, I will try to create it. And I love that as well. Like I love being able to offer that to other people because I think everyone needs that. Some
Yeah.
people are just maybe don't know where to look or stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah. You talked already a little bit about being a mom in music. Tell me a
Mhm.
little bit more. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke to uh, s- um, Karina Pardos, and she is
Okay.
part of the Moms in Music um, Association or
What is
Foundation.
that? I need to get on.
Yeah, you should totally check it out. They are trying to give a voice to moms in music, and they do interviews and they just create more awareness and a network and all that stuff, because she thought that was necessary, and she
Hmm.
so. But yeah, I'd love to hear it from you. How?
Yeah, so it's an interesting ride. So I have a 4.5-year-old kid and a 15-month-old kid.
Hmm.
And they're both extremely musical. Like my older kid drums amazingly. Um, and my younger kid, she like every time she hears music, she dances and she also likes drumming. And it's really cool to see how music is just part of their lives. And I
Hmm.
mean, my wife is also like she's mainly a writer, but she's a musician as well. And so the house is very musical. So sometimes we jam together, which is really fun. Um, so, like I said, I think that it made my like when I'm with them, I have to be with them 100%. I can't be working. So it made my work time a lot more precise and more like focused, which I actually think is a good thing. I think before having kids, I could work until like 10 p.m. And once I had kids, I had to set boundaries, like now I don't work after 3 p.m. Because then I have to be with kids. Um, so I have those hours to work, and whatever I do with those hours, that's what it is. Um, so I really actually like that aspect. And I think that, music has a lot of, like I said, that my process, a lot of it is kind of improvised and sort of going with the flow, starting from a seed. And I think motherhood or parenthood is also a lot of like that, a lot of improvisation because you have to, I mean, even if you set rules or you don't, or you have a certain idea of how things will go, you're dealing with people who are their own human beings, and you have no idea how they will react to certain situations. Or maybe one day, like, my kid wakes up and doesn't want to do anything, and I have to improvise and sort of still be my best self as much as I can, while improvising these scenarios and figuring out a solution and kind of going with the flow. So there's a lot of, I think, similarity between being creative in music and being creative in parenthood, which is cool. I like that too.
Did being a mom influence your writing too?
I don't know. That's a Yeah. Like, I feel like if you'd asked me, like, has my mother's death influenced my writing, I would say absolutely. But my motherhood, I don't know. Um, I think it more influenced maybe not having the time to doubt myself and like being even more focused in my work,
Mm,
or writing songs about motherhood. But I don't think it like influenced the way I like my process itself, if that makes sense.
right.
Yeah. But yeah, I also like sometimes my older kid like comes to the studio and we play with the push, and or like I take out a synth and we play with it, and it's really fun.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see how he thinks of things.
Yeah, it might bring play
Yeah,
back into the music.
exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
yeah, because we're very serious people
Yeah,
sometimes.
very serious.
Yeah. What advice would you give to young aspiring musicians who are just starting out?
um, Trust yourselves, connect with people, and not in a networking, annoying kind of way. When I was in college, I know Berkeley's big on networking, and I went to these networking events, and
Yeah.
like they taught you like how to shake the hand, and I hated those, and I always felt like I will be so terrible at networking. But I think just connecting to people like on a basic level, like, don't think about it as networking, just think about connecting with people. And I think a lot of like when you're in college, there's always this feeling of competition,
Mm,
or in school in general. Um, but so many musicians I've met are so nice and so willing to help each other. And so I think that's a really important thing to remember.
yeah.
I'd also say learn how to budget. Um, and because taxes for freelancers are really horrible. It's like, yeah. I'm dreading the email from my CPE. Um,
That time of year, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think just like trust yourself and connect with people. And I mean, yeah, it's hard work. That's what's gonna get you to the place you want to be. But even though it's like, even I feel like also no matter how much you work, there's still a big amount of luck, and that's something that we can't control, which is depressing and also good, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I would say.
How do you navigate a balance between staying true to your artistic vision and your commercial expectations?
Um, well, I think when I was younger, I really hope that by this time, like I'm 37, I just turned 37, and I hope that like by this time I would be famous, or I would like be a lot more um like I had a lot more following and stuff like that. And that obviously hasn't happened, and I sort of put that dream aside. And now I'm creating new dreams, and so I think never stop dreaming, but adjusting your reality to what's happening
Mm,
is really important. And I also think life is really surprising, and things that you thought might happen will like completely, I mean, they could happen, but they also could completely not happen, and something like a different door would open.
Yeah.
And so I feel like let life surprise you, that's something that I try to remind myself a lot. And I think for me in general, I've always been very true to myself, like, which has been good and difficult because sometimes it means I can't do a certain task because I just feel like it's fake or like it's not really who I am. So that part has always been easy to me, but it does mean that I had to do certain things like the long way, because I
Mm.
wouldn't like sell myself or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think adjusting your dreams as needed.
Cool. Do you have time for hobbies?
Not really. The only hobby, the only hobby, like aside from, I don't know, can watching TV be a hobby?
I don't know. Yeah,
I
you can make it
do
a
that
hobby.
sometimes. The only hobby I found myself doing is editing videos.
Mm.
Really love that. So I edited actually three of the videos for Home is Where.
Right.
And I did a lot of like family videos for like birthdays and stuff. Um, and doing some Photoshop stuff. So like graphic design and stuff like that. So I mean, I don't do it just for fun. I do it for projects, but it's something I love doing that isn't part of my career.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
came to find out that a lot of people have like other creative things that they don't make money with.
right.
Um, and I feel if you're a creative person, then you might not want to limit yourself to just music.
Hmm.
You can totally edit your own video because you enjoy
Right.
it and you're good at it because you have a certain creative mindset about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And that trickles into, yeah.
yeah, it like feeds each other.
Right.
Yeah, I always think that if I wasn't a musician, I would be into cinema and stuff like that. I just really enjoy it. And I think like editing is just like storytelling and it's so powerful. So yeah, I like that a lot.
Can you tell a little bit about that video that you edited from your new album?
So there were three videos that I edited. Two were by two dancers, one from
Mhm.
Uganda, one from Spain, and they sent me the raw footage and told me their vision, and I edited it. And the third video was a video that I didn't collaborate with anybody. It was just like just me.
Yeah, that's the
So my
video
friend
I
helped
meant.
me. Okay, so my friend Pamela Hirsch helped me. She took some footage of me because I couldn't do that. Um, and then I ended up using some like stock videos and sort of editing it all together
Mhm.
and creating sort of this narrative. I think it had a snake in it and like a dancer. Yeah, and it was just really fun and it was challenging because I had all these like different components like the snake, the dancer, me. Maybe there was one more thing, and I had to sort of tie it all together. But like I said, editing is storytelling, so it's just a matter of
Yeah,
the narrative and the focal point and like the development. And yeah, I really enjoyed that.
yeah. Awesome. Upcoming projects or dreams, what are you excited about? What's happening?
So I'm doing the whale project, which I'm excited about. I'm trying to write a lot more for music libraries, so like ambient tracks and um, more pop stuff. So I'm kind of like planting a lot of seeds right now for work, and I'm excited about all the music I'm going to create. Um, yeah, and I'm also producing my friend, Tiffany Wilson, right?
Mhm.
So her artist name is Kurt Mercy, and I'm producing an EP for her right now. This is really fun. We like recorded drums, bass, guitar. Now she's about to record vocals. So yeah, that's fun because I also want to be producing more artists.
Huh,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
So that's what's
awesome.
going on.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being at my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure to get to know you even more. Um, and I love to hear all about all the stuff that's coming up. I'll put all the descriptions in the all the info in the
Okay.
descriptions.
Hopefully by the time it's released, I'll have all these jobs.
Yes, then yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we'll put your website and all the stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks so
Awesome.
much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, have a beautiful day.
You too.
As I conclude this episode of ViviTalks, I want to express my sincere gratitude for joining me in this musical journey. I hope you enjoyed exploring the stories and experiences of the incredible female musicians on my album. To stay updated on our latest episodes, subscribe to ViviTalks on your favorite podcast platform. Connect with me on social media through Vivienne, and please check out my album Typuhthâng, a musical exchange featuring 100 female musicians to empower female cacao farmers of Virunga State Park in Congo. It's about more than just music. It's about making a positive impact in the world. Your support is part of that journey, so thank you once again for tuning in. Until next time, keep celebrating the power of music, and let's continue to amplify the voices of remarkable women in the industry. Stay inspired, stay empowered, and keep the music flowing. With love and gratitude. Till soon.